All right, Joel Gausten here from joelgausten.com. For this conversation, I'm very happy to be joined by somebody I have known uh, a quarter century, probably, if
Yeah,
not longer.
yeah,
Uh,
it's been a minute.
yeah, it's been more than a minute, and actually, in the span of time we've known each other, we've actually been bandmates at one point in time,
Yeah,
many years ago, back in 1746.
right. We rode to the show on our horses.
Yes, by candlelight. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
it was terrible. We used to have to send telegrams to each other to schedule band practice. It's a long time
It
ago.
was fun. Free
But
free internet. Brr.
yeah, fuck, it probably was. Without further ado, let me properly welcome my guest. Again, someone I've known for a very long time. It's a real pleasure to reconnect with. Currently from Richmond, Virginia, Mr. Frank Verga. Frank, great to see you, man.
Great to see you, Joel.
You
Thanks for
haven't you haven't
on.
aged a day.
Yeah, I have. I guess it's not showing too bad, but it's not the age sometimes, it's the mileage too. Yeah.
That is sure as shit. Absolutely. Yeah, I think the last time you and I were face to face, as it were, was probably 24, 25 years ago, I'm guessing. Probably 24 years ago. Had to
Yeah,
be.
it's got to be wild because you had moved out of state, and yeah, I don't even. It's all a blur to me now, anyway.
Everything is, man.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell people why you're here. Obviously, you're a musician. You've been a musician for decades, in a variety of different styles. For the past several years now, you've been at the helm of a project called Impulse Control Disorder,
Mhm.
which to put kind of a convenient name to that style of music, it falls within the electronic industrial realm. I think that's safe to say. And this project has just released a great new EP called Noise to the Void, which I absolutely love. So it's
Thanks.
to hear you doing so well with things. I thought I'd bring you on and kind of introduce people who may not be familiar with what you've been doing the last few years, up to speed with all that. So,
Yeah,
um,
thank you.
yeah, of course. So let's kind of get really to the beginning of this project,
Mhm.
impulse control disorder. If I have my timetable and memory correct, I was trying to think back to when the first time was I saw you perform with that project. It had to have been around the year 2000. Does that sound about
Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate. Yeah,
okay?
around
Um,
2000.
yeah, and we were kind of punk rockers initially. That's how we met, actually.
Yeah, right.
And when I first met you was at one of those Jersey punk rock shows, but
Yeah,
I started talking because you had a pig face shirt on
yeah.
at the rock show. And I'm
Which
like,
is funny. It was like almost like a little look into the future for you.
yeah, that was before that whole thing even happened. But I remember looking at you thinking you're wearing a pig face shirt at a show that
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it
Like
was
music.
like a casualty show or something. And it was something
Yeah,
very punk.
right.
And
Then it was something for me because then all of us too. Like, there's another weirdo here that knows who this weird band is.
exactly. So I know you've always had kind of an affinity for industrial, which is how
Yeah.
we connected because I've always had one as well. Um, so let's go back to the very beginning because obviously you were playing in punk bands at that time. You
Yep.
and I had one for a while. Um, when did you really kind of decide to pursue your interest in industrial music as a creative person and get this project rolling all the way
It was
back?
funny. I kind of like fell into it. Like, I listened to the music, like Front 242 and Nights Reb, and Skinny Puppy and stuff. I would listen to it, but I never thought like, oh, I'll make that kind of crap. But I was in a band and I left, and I was playing bass, and I was shopping around for other bands. Like, I couldn't really find something I was like into. I'm like, well, so I bought a drum machine. At least give me something to like play along to, like get used to like it's a one step above like just a metronome. So I got a drum machine and practice. And then I'm like, oh man, what's a synthesizer? So I started looking at keyboards. I bought a keyboard and like Next thing I know, I bought a band. So I'm like, oh, let me start farting around with this. And I started playing with it and just kind of transitioned from like, you know, live band, live band with electronic backup practicing. And then I just like went mostly electronic. I'm like, oh, this is kind of fun. I got like an old school Alesis, like MMT8 sequencer, and like sort of programming stuff and an old Ensoniq EPS 16 sampler, like old. And once I started playing around with that, I'm like, this is neat. And like, it's like being in a band, but I don't have to deal with 4 other people. This is awesome. So I mean, I said, fuck it. And like got it from there. So I would just write all the tunes. And then when I took it live, I knew like we were both in the scene. Like I knew all kinds of, jerk offs that could play guitar or whatever. So I just like, I got a couple of my buddies just to fill in as live members so I can actually have like a show and like just started doing it.
And obviously it's carried on in different ways since. Uh,
Yeah.
I still somewhere I still have the first Impulse CD you'd put out around that time. And I know there was a point relatively early on, it went from Impulse to Impulse Control Disorder.
Yes.
I think there was
Yeah.
another act or something with the Impulse name. So it
Yeah,
went,
there's some fucking like boy band in the Midwest, some like NSYNC knockoff band that had the name Impulse, and I'm like, oh, no, I can't, you know. So that's why I tacked on the control disorder, which I mean, it's a little unwieldy, but it's kind of like I don't know, like when I'm writing too, I'm all like, and like my earlier stuff was definitely like what fucking genre is this? It'd be like a fast song and a slow song and something like more punk rocky and something a little more. It's kind of like all over the board, and I'm like, I'm like, I'm fine with that. If other people aren't, don't buy the fucking record, But I'm like, what?
well, I mean, you and I kept in touch, for as long as we've known each other. Uh,
Yeah,
so I've heard a fair amount of this material you've done over the years. Um, I have to say, this new EP, Noise to the Void, to my ears, is the most accomplished piece of music you've released under this name. It's a
yeah,
fantastic EP. It really is, man. I mean, I love the production of it. I love the direction you've taken things. Um, you've got a lot of miles behind you with this
yeah,
already.
yeah.
How would you say your songwriting and production have evolved as the years have gone on under this banner of impulse control disorder?
I think, well, the big evolution was like, I was doing it. I started years ago, and I like full stop, like took a break, because I was doing that act, and then I went on to another act that got a little more popular, so I shelved my stuff, and then I did nothing for years, and then when I got back, when I'm like, hey, I'm gonna start doing tunes again, everything's all computer now. I used to have like a room, I had a Mackie 32 channel board and all kinds of gear and all this shit. And I'm like, wait a minute, all I need is a couple of things, like all this DAW and computer recording was like, so that was like a little bit of a challenge transitioning to that. So that also kind of affected my songwriting because I kind of changed how I worked a little bit, moving from hardware to mostly in the box, like software stuff. So that really affected how I was writing. I still, it's still garbage. Like I did, like if I told like a real songwriter how I like form a song, they'd be like, "You're a maniac," like that. But it's like I know it works. Somehow it gets done. So I guess the songwriting is still the same, but I think the production is where like I really like intentionally did some homework and sat down because in having to learn the software because like it was completely foreign to me. It took me 2 years. Like 2 years and at least one laptop because I just like I was so frustrated. The learning curve on that crap is just so steep if you don't know what you're doing. I threw my fucking laptop across the room and I'm like I didn't touch it for like 6 months. But once and so in learning a new method to make the music, it made me dig in deeper to like the production and I did more reading. I was more deliberate in my decisions, not just like, oh, it sounds cool, man, turn it up, which is like how I used to do it. So I got a little bit more deliberate, and I think I finally got the stuff like sounding how I always wanted it to sound. Like I was never happy with any of the recordings. I'm like, but now it's like the finished song is sounding like how it first sounded in my head when the idea popped into my brain. So like that's been cool for me, and that's like I think where the real evolution was like I made a conscious like we just sit down and just like watch videos and like find the guys like Dave Pensato and like all these like big time engineers, like watching every video I can get my hands on, and just like making conscious decisions about what I was doing in putting the song together. You know.
Absolutely. And this is an EP.
Mm-hmm.
Um, obviously it's a digital release. Do you have a physical version of this as well, or are there plans to
This
make that happen?
this one I do not have a physical release. The other ones I did physical. My last couple things I did physical releases on, and like honestly, there's just not enough of interest right now. I'm sitting on boxes of CDs. Like I still wanted to put the stuff out, but I mean, if they're just gonna, first of all, I didn't realize, also coming back into the game, I didn't realize how little people give a shit about CDs. Like I literally couldn't give them away, could not give them away. So that's why I shelved that. And like vinyls, I'd love to do a record, like an LP vinyl, but they're still kind of pricey. And like, again, I don't think I have the market. Like if I knew I could move even 100 copies, I'd get them pressed. But for right now, I'm going to stay just get digital only, get some traction going. If there's interest, then I'll start pressing physical stuff.
Well, it's a good point. I mean, you and I come back from the era. Yeah, where it was
Yeah.
like, here's my CD, the shrink wrap proper CD. I mean,
Yeah, and dude, even I was like, oh, cool, man. I'll put out a 7 inch. I'm like, fucking punk rock, you know? I looked up how much it is to do a 7 inch now. Jesus Christ. They're like ridiculous. It's like, that used to be like the cheap thing to take home from the show, you know? And now it's like, oh, well, I got my collector's item, 7 inch swirly vinyl. It cost me $50 and it's a fucking 7 inch.
yeah. I mean, it's a crazy thing where in my position, whether it's through this or the website, I get a lot of digital promos now. I must get
Yeah.
30 to 50 a week. Sometimes somebody will mail me a CD. And my initial thought is, why? Why did you go through the effort to put this in the mail? And I'm not talking like an elaborate, cool product. I'm talking like a shitty CD and like the cardboard sleeve,
Sure. Yeah,
shrink wrap.
yeah.
I'm like, why are you even bothering? Send me the MP3. It's gonna have the
But
same effect, you know?
yeah, because so you took an MP3, you put it on a CD, mailed it to me, and I turned it back to an MP3. You could have sent me to fucking MP3. Like
Right.
I like physical media, but I like efficiency, And it's like you just wasted a lot of people's time.
Hmm. Yeah, and there's an expense these days, especially post-COVID.
And
Anything
all
new.
that, yeah, and all that plastic is killing the planet.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like you're gonna you're gonna burn a CD. Like I don't mean to be a hippie about it, but you're gonna burn a CD and you're gonna throw it in the trash.
Right. Right. So
So
I'm all I'm all with you with
it's
how.
just wasteful.
Yeah, absolutely. So you and I have both bounced around a lot over the years,
Yeah.
all over the country, different places for different reasons.
But
Uh,
you've gone like a lot more this. Like I've just kind of been going up and down the coast.
right, right, yeah. But you're out in Richmond these days, right?
Yeah.
And how
Yeah,
long have
that's
you been
correct.
down there?
I lost you for a second. What was that?
How long have you been down in Richmond?
Not long, like just a little bit over a year. It's kind of new, still kind of like feeling stuff out here. And so far, so good, man. It's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's a good town. There's a bunch of stuff going on. Like, there's frequently like I got to choose. Like, well, there's like two or three things going on tonight that I want to go to. It's like which is weird. I'm not used to having that. It's like there's a gallery thing here or a show here. Or, it's like really cool. There's a few really good record stores, and there's music venues. It's really, I mean, there's some stuff going on here. I know, like it's still getting developed like every place else, but it's still got some shit going on, especially compared to other places I live.
Yeah, well, that was gonna be my question. What's the scene look like down there in Richmond? So I'm happy to hear there's stuff happening.
Yeah, I'm still kind of feeling it out myself. So, but I mean, as far as I can see, there's still stuff going on. I mean, you got Richmond itself has a really good pedigree of bands that's come out of here. So there's always something going on. VCU, there's always every 4 years there's new art weirdos coming in.
Right.
There's a bunch of venues of different sizes. I've like even in the short time I've been here, I've seen the Chameleons, Clan of Zymox,
Hmm.
this band Vosh, a newer band from DC. So I am a couple times. There's like bands come through here, which is great. Because before this, I lived in Charleston, South Carolina,
Mhm.
and like nobody came to Charleston. Like nobody cared. There wasn't a market there for it, you know. So like, you had to like drive to Atlanta or wherever to go see like you know, like a larger show, you know.
That's great. I'm really happy to hear there's enough going on down there. It's really exciting to know your feet have landed in a place that will, you know,
Well, that was part of the attraction, man. Like that's why, you know, my wife and I decided to land here because there is some life in this city. You know, there's like right down the street from, well, not down the street, but a short drive is a club called Fallout, which is like a great spot, and they're open 7 days a week, and there's always something going on there, you know, and there's just there's some life in this town still.
excellent.
Yeah.
Let's get into the actual music, which is
Sure. Yeah.
the reason why we got together to talk about this.
That stuff's crap. We'll talk. Just keep talking bullshit.
Well, I mean, the one thing that I've always dug about this project, even back in the year 2000,
Yeah.
um, we're both industrial nuts, right? But I think you'll agree with me that there was this long era in the genre where industrial was really just metal with a drum machine. And I think it lost some of its initial charm. Like when I think of the industrial in America, I'm thinking Wax
Mhm.
Trax, 80s,
Yeah.
all those classic bands. And you sort of embrace that style where no disrespect to Al, because I love Al, but you're not doing ministry, that you're doing
Yeah.
something,
Right.
you're doing something a little bit more traditional, although, he helped start the tradition. You know what I mean? It's a little bit
Yeah.
more.
No, I get you.
So, as far as your stylistic goals, was that something you always saw yourself doing from the beginning, or was it something that sort of came as you were learning your craft and bringing in these different technologies to make music?
Oh yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing, honestly. I just kind of start making some noise and like whatever comes. Like that's kind of why I kept like the impulse control disorder thing, because like I start writing a song, however it comes out, it comes out. You know, I definitely like there's a sound I like, and because uh, and frequently like what I thought this song up until recently, what I thought the song was going to sound like, what it ends up sounding like, are completely different. You know, but I also think that has to do with me kind of getting better about managing things. So like I kind of start out closer to the done idea, but like I rarely, especially in the past, I rarely like had like, oh, I'm gonna write a fucking industrial banger today, you know, or like I'm gonna write this like really sad ballad, you know. I would just kind of I would normally I'd just be like sitting around like probably drunk usually and like a I usually start with a bass line. Like usually like rhythm gets me. You know, I'm a bass player. I grew up as a bass player. So like like if I can hear like a hooky bass in my head, then it's like, oh shit, you know, I'll go to the recorder, go to synthesizer and throw that down and then just start building crap around that. But like I rarely like because anytime I try to be like, oh, I want to write a song that sounds like 1993 Leather Strip, I never hit the mark. So I just stopped, you know, and I you know, or like I didn't want to just clone somebody else completely. So it's just like, you know what, whatever. I'll just throw some shit on the wall, manage what comes out, and then polish it up a little bit. And here's your shiny piece of shit, you know?
Right, right. Well, I can tell you, you don't remind me of anyone per se. Like I can't put on your record and go, oh, okay, this is like KMFDM 2.0
Yeah,
or whatever. There are some artists that if I had to, because people love, artists similar to, if I were to throw that into the
sure.
mix in this video, I hear shades of Coil in this music.
Mhm.
I hear shades of Laibach in places.
Ooh. Oh, now you're talking nice to me. Like, trying to get on my good side.
So it's
Fucking
definitely
love those guys.
more in that realm than
Okay, yeah.
and that sort of vibe, which I love. I mean, I grew up on this. We grew up on the same shit. So I mean,
Right.
I can definitely appreciate where you're going with that. But that's kind of, maybe some like cyberactive in there as well.
Mhm.
So that's the kind of vibe that I'm catching from it. So I think it's a cool sound. And like I said, it's a sound that you've developed and it's clear, you've evolved and I don't want to say you figured out your shit, but you
Well,
you figured out your shit,
I will say what I can do now that I couldn't do in the past is now I can like I'll hear something in my head, and I'll be like, I want the synthesizer to sound like this,
Mm.
and I do it now. You know, I'll be like, fuck, you know, it's like, yeah, you know, because like a lot of times, especially like one of the classics, Front 242 Headhunter, like that specific synthesizer sound, like the sound and the melody makes that hook. It's not just the melody. You know, if you just played that like a Casio, it would sound like garbage, you know, but it's like having the right sound with the right melody to me is that's what really sends the hairs on the back of my neck standing up, you know? So that's the one thing I could do
Yeah,
better.
absolutely,
You know, like,
absolutely. You know, we've talked about this before over the years because you told me what you're doing, and I go, what the fuck? But you have this very interesting array of covers that you've done with this project.
yeah,
Well, you've covered Front 242. Okay, that makes sense. I can get
yeah.
that. You've also covered Katy Perry. Uh,
Correct.
you've
Yeah.
covered Shannon's Let the Music Play, you know. Um,
Classic.
and your covers are always kind of interesting because I know it's not going to be what I possibly expect it to be before I put it on, so it's a different vibe. So, what has traditionally kind of led to your choice of covers over the years? Because they're so left field. It's always been
So
kind of an
yeah,
interesting point for me.
um, not unlike. I mean, if you want to take a call back to Leibach, you know, like look at some of the covers Leibach did. You're like, what the fuck were you thinking? You know, sometimes that's what like that head twist, or like when By God 20 covered like a prayer by Madonna, which is one of my favorite covers of all time. You know, just like putting that like just a little bit of a spin on it, and also like keep like it's just for a goof and it's fun for me. And like there are songs I legitimately like, and like putting a funny little spin on them and like getting people like kind of go, huh? That's what I'm kind of going for. You know, maybe it might take them a second to realize what song it is, and then they're like, what the fuck is this maniac doing? You know, it's just a goof. Well, actually, the Front 242 cover I did intentionally, and like a couple people told me it's like, oh, it sounds just like the original. I'm like, thank you. I did that song as like a test for myself, as like, okay, can I get those same sounds they got? You know, like trying to like learn from the masters, you know, and trying to emulate them. I was trying to like pick apart and find their secrets a little bit, you know. But normally it's just a goof.
This may be a question that begs an intangible answer, so we'll see how it goes. But
Sure.
because sometimes I think the music chooses us in life. We don't necessarily choose what moves us. Um, but I know obviously you've had a love for, we'll say, industrial music as a sort of a blanket term,
Mm-hmm.
literally for as long as I've known you, Um, what is it about the genre and the culture that continues to capture your imagination to where you're still a participant creatively and scene wise in that whole?
Um, there's just something about the music that just like, you know, from the first time I heard it, just grab like there's still songs to this day that are 30 years old, you know, that I'll hear and like I'm still like, you know, I feel like a teenager. I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, you know. And it just first something about it is just visceral and grabs me, but also I think really what I like kind of that monotonous, like I love the fact that Nights Red pulled the wool over everybody's eyes for a whole career. Like it's one 8-bar loop for 5 minutes and some dope just yelling different sentences over it. And I'm like, I'll listen to it every day. You know, I
Mhm.
think that like, because my brain gets all wacky and firing off in a million places. So if I find a good song with a nice driving rhythm and a good hook that I can just like nod and get to work to, like I think that's what draws me to it. You know, like talking about the old Wax Track stuff, especially like the one-offs or whatever side projects like PTP and stuff like that. And it just like a lot of revolting cock stuff is just like it's
Yeah.
kind of like on the surface it's monotonous, but it kind of you get like yeah man, you just get in the groove with it. It just I don't know, it just kind of just like get you.
Yeah, yeah, the repetition is the hallmark of that sound initially. Like No Devotion by Revco.
Hmm.
No, structurally, there's not a whole lot to that song, but it's perfect. It's perfect. It just sort of drives it home.
Well, like, did you watch the? I assume, I hope you watched like the Wax Tracks documentary, Industrial Accident.
Oh yeah, 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 of course.
Like what they're saying, it's like, well, we couldn't do anything else because we ran out of memory on the on the sampler. It's like, well, that's the best we can do, and okay, here we go, 5 minutes.
Yeah, brilliant. I know I've seen Impulse, well, then Impulse, but Impulse Control Disorder, um, live decades plus ago.
Yeah.
With this new release, what are your plans, if any, for bringing it out live at this point?
I'm definitely planning on dusting off the wheelchair and getting back out there because yeah, I got some stuff to yell about again. And it's just fun. Like, honestly, I'm not getting any younger. If I'm gonna do it, my window's closing to do it. I just want to, like I did a gig. Hell, it's got to be like mighty. It's probably getting close to 2 years now. I played QXT's opening up for Syzygics. I
Mm,
think I say it from DC, and it was fun. It was a blast. I felt like I was glad I did it, and I had fun doing it. But I was like, that wasn't my best show. I was really out of practice. Like, you were just being, I should have rehearsed more. I only rehearsed like twice. I should have rehearsed more. And I'm like, that wasn't my A game. I want to at least leave on my A game. Even if there's 10 people in the room, I want to end the show and go home and go to bed being like, that was the best show I feel I could have put on. Now I can pack it in. And also, like, I feel like the live scene's coming back again. Like, there's so much static on the internet and just so much shit out there. I feel like the way to cut through, it's come full circle, and now it's like, get in people's faces, make them walk out of that door and remember who the fuck you were.
right,
You know?
right. I don't get down to Jersey too much these days, but I know there are some things happening like that Dark Force Fest
Yeah, that's a
happening
big
in
one.
Parsippany.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool weekend, man. We went there last year to see Curse, and our buddies in Bile played, and
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's cool. It's like a cool little cultural thing, and it's amazing it's happening in Parsippany, New Jersey. I mean, who the fuck would have thought,
But
So there's little pockets of things opening up, and it kind of raises a point too, because I know, we've all had to go through this, 3+ year span where we're kind of
Mhm.
in our respective homes and places, and not really kind of out there doing things. Um, yeah, again, you were putting out stuff during the pandemic, of course.
Mhm.
How would you compare the way things are now to even how they were 2 or 3 years ago, as far as promoting music and reaching people? Do you find that it's diminished a bit because people are kind of getting out more, or do you think it's grown because everybody had that chance to build more of a community internally when we were all kind of stuck in front of our computers no matter what?
I'm honestly like, I don't think I'm well versed enough yet because I'm still dipping my toes back in the pool myself. So I'm just trying to find out. But I will say, just coming back in and having to start like trying to promote music again, the landscape has completely changed. I don't understand it. And like, I'm still trying to figure out like, how do you cut through the noise? How, like, there's just so much between Instagram, uh, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, or X, whatever the fuck it's called now, and like, oh, you have a YouTube channel? No, I don't. I don't know. How many followers do you have? I don't know. Some guy was following me home from Starbucks before. Does he count? I'm like, yeah, it's just like, it's so, the days of like handing out paper flyers are dead. But I do think, from what I see, things are definitely changing because there's more bands are getting out there more. Like, there's a lot more shows I'm seeing coming through town. Whereas, for a while there, like, I was getting real nervous and real sad because I'm just watching, like, through the pandemic, like watching venues just drop. This place closed, that place closed. And like, oh, it's like, fuck, dude. And like, how many people, just musicians, didn't have an income stream, so they're having to pack it in, or or go on an indefinite hiatus because they got to get a different job or something, or pivot and do something, But it seems like people are excited again to just get out, like just get out of our fucking house.
Yeah, yeah. There's only so many live streams of shows you can deal with. You kind of have to be in the room.
Oh, totally. Yeah, 100%. Like it's one thing like I do have a couple concert DVDs that I'll watch, mostly from bands that have long since broken up. Like, and that's cool, but like it's a bit, I want to, given my preference, I'd rather go see the band, live stream. And like, because also the problem with the live stream is the band's not getting energy back from the crowd. So you're just kind of like, you're almost like a radio broadcaster at this point. You don't know if your jokes land or not. You're just kind of putting your stuff out there and like, hey, you want to hear another one? Oh wait, somebody in the comments said yes. All right, fuck it, let's do another one. It's like there's not that, there's no energy coming back at you. So I would assume that's very difficult.
Yeah, yeah. Um, to the EP for a moment, you have a remix on there, uh,
Yeah,
collaboration, and I'm gonna butcher the name, so forgive me. Is it Zara?
Zaha.
Zaha. See, I knew I
Yeah,
was,
Zaha.
and I checked out.
But I hope I'm saying right because if she's watching, I'm gonna get slapped.
Yeah, well, via you and your EP, I checked out some of her stuff, and I think it's fantastic.
Yeah,
How did that collaboration come to be?
I'm pretty sure it was just on the internet, like same forum or it might have been Facebook or something. Because we were in a similar geographical area, and I know it was something due to just proximity, and then I know the first contact was made online, so I just forget which
Mhm.
came from, what feed, and then we start chatting and talking about music and stuff, and I like that their stuff came from like, it's more techno and house influenced, and like I was like, techno house 80s, so something like kind of like it was similar enough where it would make sense, but different enough where like I knew a remix would be neat, be a completely different take on it, and they were totally down, and I was like, yeah, just do it. Like I don't give a shit. Like people are remixing something. It's only happened a couple of times for me, but like, oh, well, what if can I? I'm like, I don't give a shit. Here, take it. Beat the shit out of it. Do what you want to it. So
I mean, and that's the one real glorious thing about where we are now, as far as recording music, because we can do things like that. We can trade tracks, and I've certainly
yeah.
found myself, recording stuff with people in Norway and Germany, whereas back in our day when we were recording, we have to go to a studio and we block
Oh
the.
yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. Or like the what was it? The fucking postal service, right? They just mailed tapes or something back and
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah.
But no, but back to with it's fun, and like we just, and like you're saying with the remote stuff, because now like I moved, like I'm in Richmond now, but it doesn't matter. We just upload shit to a server, download the zip files, and
Yep.
I'm continuing. Like I love to keep working with her. It's fun to work, easy to work with, good, like make some fun stuff.
That's excellent. Yeah, I'm looking forward to what comes next, which kind of leads to my wrap-up question for now, which is the EP's out. We're late February already somehow. What does the rest of your 2024 look like with impulse control disorder?
Right now, probably just, I'm always like something's always in the works musically. I always got like, 8 half-done songs kicking around. So keep working on new stuff. I definitely want to start playing live. I'd like to wait till it warms up a little bit because I'm like old and cranky and don't like to go out in the cold. But I've been like working on practicing and getting like, I'm trying to learn how to program, like do like programming some lights so I can get like a stage show going too. So there's a little extra layer in there so I can have like my own light show synced up to the music. I think that'll add a lot. So my main goal for 2024 is start playing live again. If
Mhm.
that's accomplished, if I do a gig this year, that's cool. Because I just got, I got some life stuff I got to manage. So definitely new tracks whenever they're done. No planned releases as of right yet, but definitely live shows.
Very cool, man. Um, Obviously you have a Bandcamp page, which I'll link in the video description when this goes up. Um, where are the best places for people to find you if they want to learn more about the project and get the EP?
Um, yeah, probably. You probably just go to like Bandcamp or Spotify. Contact me through there. I think my contacts on Bandcamp. I don't have really a website up. I just been using Bandcamp for now.
Mhm.
So if they want to check it out, those are probably two of the best places. I go through DistroKid, so everything's like whatever service. I know it's on like Deezer and services I don't even know what they are.
Right.
So it's out there, but I guess the main platforms are probably Bandcamp, Spotify.
Nice, nice. I'll put up the Bandcamp. I have a whole hard on against
Oh,
Spotify.
that's fine, man. I just know a lot of people like look. I don't use them because I like love to. It's just it's the stuff's there, and like usually it's stuff I've already purchased, so I don't feel like too much of a scumbag.
Right.
But
No,
I
that's just me. It's just my preference. I'm just not.
yeah, no, yeah. If you want to say fuck them, fuck them.
But I'll get people to check out your stuff. And what's cool about Bandcamp too is all your releases currently available are up there. So it'll give people a nice sort of introduction to what you're doing. And some of those covers are up there too. So
Yeah, I think there might be something kicking around on SoundCloud too, because I know I used to use SoundCloud, so there might be a SoundCloud page up. I don't even know what the hell's still flying around out there because I'll like abandon a platform like, oh, well now Bandcamp's the cool thing, so I'll start using that and forget that this thing was over here. So it's like my own personal archive of forgetfulness.
yeah, SoundCloud's funny. I just found just recently a remix I did of an Orb song like 12 years ago on an ancient
Yeah,
account that I haven't looked at since. So it's kind of funny when you like because all these things come and go, right? All these different platforms that we fuck around with,
right.
then you go back to you're like, oh yeah, I remember that song I did, ages ago, gathering dust somewhere. So yeah, but it's funny before we wrap up, I do want to mention I alluded to it earlier that the two of us were in a project together circa 98.
Wait, that was 98.
That was 98.
Dude.
And I bring it up because like in the last year, well, first of all, to let people know, Frank and I had a studio project briefly called Psycho 78. It was a Misfits cover thing. Because at that time there were a series of Misfits tribute albums being put out. I think it was by a label in Canada, if memory serves. And
I
they were,
could go look at my CD rack if you want.
I mean, they were decent. I mean, the guy who put it out legit put it out. Like it had like
Yeah,
it was an actual real release. So, we did a couple tracks with our departed friend Chris Seitzma, rest in peace. Um, but as you know, there are all these Misfits fan sites on Facebook. Somewhere, I think it was Latin America, like not
yeah,
really,
yeah.
not New Hampshire. Um, like we're posting pictures of those records on a Facebook group, because everything Misfits related is celebrated, right? So that came up on Facebook, and I'm like, holy shit, I haven't seen that record in years. It's somewhere in a box back here.
I could
But
probably pull mine out right now if you give me like 30 seconds. I bet you.
yeah, see if you can find it. That'd be
Yeah, let me see. You hold on. Give me a second. I don't have any hold music, so you're just gonna have to like hum a tune or something.
right. Well, now would be a good time to subscribe to this channel. Uh, I have a lot of cool interviews coming up with not only old friends, but new people I'll be acquainted with through the channel. So subscribe to that while Frank looks for our record that we did back in 1742. My website, joelgaustin.com. You can go to Frank's Bandcamp for Impulse Control Disorder. Check out all that great music. Um, Frank, I'm running out of shit to say. You got to come back, man.
All right, I'm coming. All right, sorry, it was taking too long. I couldn't find the Misfit CD, but
Oh,
I know it's in there. But I did find one of my old Skull CDs. So that's another
oh, nice.
like, like shit I forgot I had.
That's funny. Old Skull. That's a name from the past.
If I find, I know it's in there. When I find that, I'll shoot you a picture.
Yeah, that's cool. There were two of them. We did two
Yeah.
of those Misfits records. I think we're on volume 2 and volume 3 of whatever it was called. But
All right,
yeah,
hold on. Yeah, keep talking, keep talking. Gonna go for a walk.
we're gonna go for a walk now.
Yeah,
We're
let's see what we can do. We're going mobile.
okay. We're going mobile.
But do you remember what it was called again?
I think it was called From Hell They Came. The other one was called I don't fucking know. But there's two of them. One was a double
Yep.
album, and the other was a single. And from Hell They Came was one, and
I'm just trying to. See. I did myself the disservice. I reorganized my CDs again. Now I can't fucking find anything.
there's probably some kid watching this somewhere in some country we can't pronounce who's like, "Oh, I have these albums. It's this and this," and
I
he's
have it right here.
because he's got everything with to do with the
Oh
myth.
wait. Whoa. Oh, buddy. Hold
Oh,
on.
oh, look at that! Here come the dead. Tribute to the Misfits. Was that volume two? Yep.
Yeah, that's volume two.
And I think From Hell They
I
Came
wasn't
was
lying.
volume three. That's crazy, man.
I might have one in there somewhere. I got number 59. It's still got the card in it.
Wow.
Complimentary band copy.
Yes, yes. I can't write. I feel terrible. I can't remember the guy who put that out, but I know he really did a great job with that whole series.
Blacklight Records. Made in yeah, Canada somewhere. Abbotsford, Canada.
Yeah, yeah. And we're on the other one too from that same lady.
Adam Bodner.
Yeah. Yes. Wow.
Yeah, it's in the liner notes. Adam Bodner, Blacklight Records, care of him.
Very-
Boom. Who needs Google? Fuck that. Just ask Uncle Frankie.
That's right. Well, you figure I'd prepare for this and actually find my copies, but
That's no fun.
right. But yeah, man, that was 26 years ago, and we're still doing this shit.
I just, I like, when I start doing it again, part of me was like, what are you doing? Who wants to see an over the hill man jump around with a microphone? And I'm like, who cares? That's like kind of what I got to with the EP. I'm like, I don't give a fuck if nobody buys it. I'm like, and I knew I was always doing it just because I wanted to do it. But like, I finally was like, at 49, was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm doing it because I'm doing it. I'm happy. Thank you so much for the nice things you said about the EP. And it was the first thing that I put out with I'm happy how it came out. Because everything else I released, like after it was out for like a month or something, I'm like, fuck, like that song just doesn't have the right vibe. But this thing, like, I'm like, nope, I'm happy with this release.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're an old friend. We've done music together. That's absolutely not why I want to do this interview. Because I have a lot of friends who put out really shitty records, and I want to have to push my compliments out because I know them. I have some element of quality control in what I do here.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to have you on because the record kills. I mean, it's a great.
Thank you very much.
And I'm so happy for you because I know you've had a passion for this style of music. Um, you're really excelling with what you're doing with this project now, and it's been a real joy over these many years now to kind of see you're growing and
Yeah, it only took me 25 fucking years to get good.
But I mean, you were good to begin with, but this is great, this is the one that I've listened to very comfortably over and over again,
Nice.
and it's a from start to finish, it's a strong release. I think it's a great place for people to start if they want to get into what you're doing with this thing, and it's always nice to come across a record or an EP from somebody where their current stuff is the best stuff they've done.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because yeah, if anybody checks the stuff out, they can start and stop with that release. I'll put out newer stuff. Some of the old stuff, I'm now like I'm leaving it up there, but I'm still like I'll listen back and I'm like, oh, that's why nobody bought it because it sucks.
Hey, I've got the real old school shit.
Yeah. Probably was it handwritten or did it have the sticker on it? Because that's like
No, it wasn't. Yeah, wait a minute. Didn't you screen the cover? Wasn't it like a hand screen cover folded or something? Like, is it?
Yeah, some of them. That's when I got real fancy, and I had
Okay.
Tim. Tim was doing that for. He was like the propaganda officer.
Yeah,
He,
I've got the propagandized version, so I'm not cool enough to have the first version. I gotta, get the. Man, I was at the old Loop Lounge. Talk about ancient
yeah.
history.
Oh man, what I got is like I fucking missed that place. That's one of the places like man that really broke my heart. Like I kind of figured out like I was stupid and thought that place would last forever because a lot of places in Manhattan I'm like I loved them but like, I knew they were gonna get priced out. Like
Yeah.
somebody's gonna come in and develop the fuck out of it. Like I knew everything in Manhattan has an expiration date, but like that place, man, like that whole circuit there. You had the Loop connections, you got Dingbats, Dingoes, and then like just shit started dropping. When the Loop closed, and so it went up for sale. I'm like, I wish I was rich.
Yeah, man. A lot of those places are gone, pretty much all of them, and it was such, I mean, people don't remember now, unless you're our age, but there were times in Jersey, man, you'd have like a dozen different choices on a weekend as far as what shows to see.
Yeah, I can't even impress kids anymore because I'm like, oh, I played this place. They're like, what the fuck is that? Like all the places I played are been knocked down.
Yeah, yeah, literally knocked down,
Yeah,
look at what was the pipeline, I think it's just
right.
like a lot now, which is,
Is the Studio One building still there? Or did that get dropped finally?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't heard a thing about that club or that space for ages.
Yeah, I'll have to ask one of my friends that still lives up there, or I'll probably be up there next month. I'll have to take a look. Now I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm curious too. You got to let me know
Yeah,
what the
fuck
hell
there. Where else, man? Like images.
images. The Cove, which I think is where
Oh, the Cove. Yeah. What about the Brighton Bar? Do you know if the Brighton Bar is still around?
demolished. Done.
Ah, fuck.
Done. Yeah, that was heartbreaking. Dingbats is still around. Actually, Steve Zing does sound there once in a while.
Yeah,
Uh,
I still see their ads for their shows. That's at least they're still kicking around.
and that's kind of it. I mean, you know, um, let's just say certain friends of mine that from the 90s, we're talking about doing a reunion show within the last year.
hmm
It may have been a band you were an initial member of or a rehearsal member of back in the day.
hmm
And we couldn't think of where the hell to have it. Like, we're like,
Oh,
where do you play in New Jersey? We're like, well,
that's so fucked up.
you know, it's like,
Or
okay,
you got to go full circle, go back to doing hall shows.
we were thinking that, like, let's do a VFW. And I'm like, I'm 45 at that point.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
45. I don't know if I want to book a fucking VFW hall and deal with that. No.
What about like because I heard there was a couple places in Montclair, are they done too? Like some like small, like mid-size or smaller venues.
There's that Meat Locker place. Um, I don't know if you've ever been there.
I have not.
It's kind of like similar in vibe to like an ABC No Rio. You know,
Okay.
it's definitely a punk venue.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
frankly, I was playing there about 12 years ago, and then back then I thought like I was crashing somebody else's coming of age story. It's like it's a younger kind of vibe, and I
Okay.
don't know if that's around. I mean, this goes back a few years. As a matter of fact, interestingly enough, you flashed that old Skull CD earlier. I was playing in Broken Heroes at the time, and I think we did a show with this band. The hell is it called? It's like one of those leftover crack side projects. I think it's
Okay.
the
Yeah.
Star fucking hippies or something, whatever.
Uh-huh.
But I think one of those guys in that band was the old Skull guitar player.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's like a weird kind of circular thing. And I think he's passed on now, that guy. I think most of Old Skull is dead now, unfortunately.
Yeah, the two brothers that were the original member. I think they were the original. It's funny this comes up because I was just looking up the other day, but yeah, like I think that the two brothers died of overdoses, and I don't know if the other original member passed, but I know there was definitely lineup changes and stuff. But yeah, the original guys died.
Yeah, which is a shame because, you know, obviously there were these young kids and, you know, but you know, the trick in doing an interview with a friend is there's always that chance it goes off the rails. And
Yeah, it turns into like a class reunion rather than an interview about your record.
yeah, yeah. So we've been a little bit all over the place, but again, to
Yeah,
bring
yeah,
it
yeah.
back to Impulse Control Disorder, the EP is called Noise to the Void. The Bandcamp link will be in the video description. If you're watching this, go check it out, give it a listen, support Frank, support his endeavors. He's worked long and hard getting this thing moving forward, man. And you're in a great place musically, man. And
Thank you.
I'm a fan. You know, I look, if we didn't know each other for a million years, I'd still go buy your fucking record. So
I appreciate that.
yeah, for real, man. And I'll tell you, it's been great talking to you face to face. Let's not wait another 20 years until the next time.
Yeah, I hope not. Yeah, let's at least cut it down to like 15.
Yeah, yeah, we'll get there. We'll be 60 talking about all this shit.
Yeah, it'll be on like the Star Trek hologram next time.
Right. I'll likely be a disembodied head in a bowl.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
But
you and Walt Disney.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, let's do this again real soon, man.
Cool. Sounds good. Thank
All
you
right.
again for having me.
Good seeing you, man.
All right, Joel.